I met Tyler Bennett on move-in day at NYU, both of us sweating through our shirts while hauling boxes up 4 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken. He'd grinned at me from across the hallway, all perfectly messy brown hair and effortless confidence, and said, "Please tell me you're not one of those guys who plays dubstep at 4 a.m. "Only on Tuesdays," I'd replied, and just like that we were friends. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of being inseparable. 3 years of late-night pizza runs and study sessions that devolved into debates about whether Die Hard was a Christmas movie. 3 years of him dadding a rotating cast of beautiful girls while I quietly nursed a crush that grew more painful with each passing day. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 21, a film studies major with dreams of directing that my immigrant parents tolerate but don't quite understand. I came out as gay when I was 16, a relatively smooth process that involved my mom crying happy tears, she insisted, my dad asking approximately 10,000 questions about safety and discrimination, and my younger sister shrugging and saying, "Yeah, we knew." Tyler, on the other hand, was the epitome of straight. At least, that's what I'd always believed. He had a girlfriend, Melissa, a pre-med student with perfect highlights and a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. They'd been together for 8 months, which was practically a record for Tyler. He talked about her constantly, showed me photos of their dates, asked my opinion on anniversary gifts. It was torture, but I'd learned to live with it. Learned to shove my feelings into a locked box and throw away the key. Learned to be the supportive best friend who gave relationship advice while dying a little inside. Until the night everything changed. It was late November, the week before Thanksgiving break. We'd both stayed up late working on final projects, me editing a short film, Tyler writing a paper on post-colonial theory that he'd procrastinated until the last possible moment. Around 2 a.m., Tyler announced he was taking a break and disappeared into his room. I kept working, lost in the footage on my screen, adjusting color grading and sound mixing with the obsessive focus that made me forget to eat or sleep. I didn't notice what time it was until I heard Tyler's door open. "Marcus," his voice was quiet, uncertain in a way I'd never heard before. I looked up. He stood in the doorway of his room, wearing sweatpants and an old high school basketball shirt, his hair sticking up in about 7 different directions. But it was his expression that made my stomach drop, raw and vulnerable and terrified. "Hey, you okay?" I asked, pulling off my headphones. "Can we talk?" The words came out strained, like each one cost him something. "Of course, what's wrong?" He crossed to the couch, sitting down heavily. His hands were shaking. I'd seen Tyler nervous before big presentations, before meeting Melissa's parents, but this was different. This was bone-deep fear. "Tyler, you're freaking me out. What happened? Is it Melissa, your family?" "No, I mean," he stopped, pressing the heels of his hands against his eyes. "God, I don't know how to say this. I've been trying to say it for months and I can't keep pretending anymore." My heart started racing. Pretending what? He looked at me then, and the intensity in his eyes made it hard to breathe. "Marcus, His phone buzzed. We both jumped. He grabbed it automatically and I saw Melissa's name flash across the screen. Something flickered across his face, guilt, pain, before he silenced it. "You should answer that," I said, even though every cell in my body was screaming to know what he'd been about to say. "No," the word came out fierce. "I can't. Not until Marcus, please. I need to tell you something, and if I don't say it right now, I never will." "Okay," I said softly, "I'm listening." He took a shaky breath, then another. His hands were fisted in his lap, knuckles white with tension. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I think I'm in love with you." The world stopped. For a moment, I was convinced I'd misheard. That exhaustion and wishful thinking had conspired to make me hallucinate the words I'd been desperate to hear for 3 years. "What?" The word came out strangled. I'm in love with you, Tyler repeated, louder this time, and there were tears streaming down his face. I have been for, God, I don't even know how long. Maybe since the beginning. Maybe since that first day when you made that stupid joke about dubstep and I couldn't stop thinking about your smile. Tyler, you're straight. You have a girlfriend, you. I know, his voice cracked. I know what everyone thinks, what I've been trying so hard to be. But Marcus, I can't. He made a helpless gesture. Every time Melissa kisses me, I think about what it would feel like if it were you. Every time I'm with her, I'm wishing I was with you instead. I've been lying to everyone, but mostly I've been lying to myself. I couldn't process this, couldn't make sense of the words coming out of his mouth. How long have you known? That I like guys, or that I'm in love with my best friend. His laugh was bitter. The first one I've been fighting since high school, convinced myself it was just confusion, just curiosity. The second one, I've been in denial about that for most of this year. Most of this year, I repeated numbly. Tyler, we've lived together for 3 years. I stopped, a horrible realization dawning. Is that why you started dating Melissa, to prove something? The guilt on his face was answer enough. Oh my God. I stood up, needing space, needing air. You used her. You've been with her for 8 months while feeling this way about me. I know how it sounds. Do you? Anger was starting to burn through the shock. Do you have any idea how fucked up that is? To Melissa, to me. I was trying to be normal. Tyler stood too, his voice rising. I was trying to be the person everyone expected. The straight athlete with the pretty girlfriend and the uncomplicated life. I thought if I just committed hard enough, if I just forced myself to feel the right things, it would work. But it didn't. No, it didn't. He took a step toward me and I stepped back. The hurt on his face was immediate and devastating. Marcus, please, I know I've handled this terribly. I know I should have figured this out before dragging other people into my mess. But I'm trying to be honest now. I'm trying to. To what? Ease your conscience. Make yourself feel better by confessing to me. No, I'm trying to. He stopped, his chest heaving. I'm trying to stop living a lie. I'm trying to choose myself, to choose you, to finally be brave enough to reach for what I actually want instead of what I'm supposed to want. And what about Melissa? I'm going to break up with her, tomorrow. I should have done it months ago. You think that makes this okay? I was shaking now, overwhelmed by emotions I couldn't name. You think you can just, what? Confess your feelings and expect me to what? Fall into your arms. I don't expect anything, Tyler said quietly. I just needed you to know the truth. I needed to stop pretending, even if you don't feel the same way, even if this ruins everything between us. Don't feel the same way, the words exploded out of me. Tyler, I've been in love with you since sophomore year. I've spent 3 years watching you date girl after girl, listening to you talk about Melissa like she was perfect, dying a little inside every single time because I knew I could never have you. And now you're telling me it was all what? A performance, a way to hide from yourself. His eyes widened. You love me. Of course I love you. How could I not? Tears were burning in my eyes now. You're my best friend. You're the person I want to tell everything to. You're the first person I think about when something good happens and the only person I want around when things are bad. But I accepted that we could never be more than friends because you were straight, because you were unavailable, because it was safer to love you from a distance than to risk losing you completely. You won't lose me. Won't I? I challenged. What happens when the reality doesn't live up to your fantasy? When you realize that being with a guy is harder than you thought? When you get scared and decide this was all a mistake? Where does that leave us, Tyler? Where does that leave our friendship? I won't. You don't know that, my voice broke. You're figuring out your sexuality in real time. You're in crisis mode. And I understand that, I really do. But I can't be your experiment. I can't be the person you use to test whether you're really gay or just confused. Because when you realize it was just a phase, I'll be the one left broken. Marcus, please, he reached for me. And this time I didn't step away. His hand wrapped around mine, warm and solid and devastating. We'd touched countless times before, casual shoulder bumps, high fives, the occasional hug. But this was different. This was charged with everything we'd left unsaid, electric with possibility and danger in equal measure. "Please don't push me away," Tyler whispered. "I know I don't deserve your trust. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm not confused about this. I'm not confused about you." I looked down at our joined hands, then up at his face. The same face I'd been memorizing for 3 years, except now I was allowed to see the longing there, the want, the desperate hope that mirrored my own. "What do you want from me?" I asked quietly. "Everything," he said. "A chance, time, whatever you're willing to give. I can't keep lying. I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. It's eating me alive, Marcus." We stood there in the middle of our shared living room at 3 a.m., hands linked, the rest of the world fallen away. And I faced the impossible choice: protect myself and say no, or risk everything and say yes. "You need to break up with Melissa," I said finally. "Not tomorrow, first thing in the morning, before you and I can even think about what this means." "Okay, I will, I promise. And you need to be sure, really sure. Because Tyler, if we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back to how things were. Our friendship will never be the same." "I know." His thumb brushed across my knuckles, a gesture so tender it made my chest ache. "I'm sure, Marcus. I've never been more sure of anything in my life." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. "I need time," I said, "to think, to process all of this. You can't just drop a bomb like this and expect me to make a decision right now." "Of course, take all the time you need." He squeezed my hand once more, then let go. The loss of contact felt like losing something vital. "I'm going to bed," I said, because I needed space, needed to breathe, needed to think about anything other than the way his eyes were looking at me like I was everything. "Marcus," Tyler called as I reached my bedroom door. I turned. "Thank you," he said softly, "for listening, for not hatting me, for everything." I nodded, not trusting my voice, and closed the door behind me. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in bed replaying the conversation, analyzing every word, every expression, trying to sort through the chaos of emotions threatening to drown me. Tyler loved me. Tyler, my straight best friend, my roommate, the guy I'd been hopelessly pinning after for years, loved me back. Except he wasn't straight. Had never been straight, apparently. Just scared and confused and doing what he thought he was supposed to do. I wanted to be angry at him for the deception, for using Melissa, for taking so long to figure himself out. But mostly I just felt sad. Sad for the years he'd spent fighting himself. Sad for Melissa, who'd loved someone who could never fully love her back. Sad for both of us, for all the time we'd wasted. But underneath the sadness was something else. Something bright and terrifying and impossible to ignore. Hope. What if this was real? What if Tyler really did love me the way I loved him? What if we could actually have the relationship I'd only allowed myself to dream about in my most desperate moments? The possibility was intoxicating and absolutely terrifying. Because Tyler was right. If we did this, everything would change. There would be no safety net of friendship to fall back on if things went wrong. No way to unknow what we now knew. It was the biggest risk I'd ever faced. And as the sun started to rise, painting my room in shades of gold and pink, I realized I was going to take it. I woke to the sound of shouting. For a moment, disoriented by lack of sleep and emotional exhaustion, I thought I was dreaming. Then I recognized the voices, Tyler's, low and pleading, and Melissa's, sharp with hurt and anger. I checked my phone. 9:17 a.m. I'd managed maybe 2 hours of broken sleep. "Trying to make me understand," Melissa's voice carried clearly through the walls. "You've been lying to me for 8 months. 8 months, Tyler." I know, and I'm so sorry. Sorry, you think sorry fixes this? You think, her voice broke. How long have you known about being gay? I've been fighting it for years, but I've known for sure for. Don't, the word came out cold. Don't tell me you've been sure for months while still sleeping with me, while still saying you loved me, while I was introducing you to my family and planning our future. I did care about you, but you loved him. It wasn't a question. You loved Marcus while you were with me. The silence that followed was damning. Oh my God, Melissa's laugh was bitter. I'm such an idiot, the way you looked at him, the way you always wanted him around. I told myself I was being paranoid that you two were just close friends, but I knew. On some level I knew. Melissa, please. Does he know? Did you tell him? Another silence. You did, you told him before you told me, before you broke up with me. Her voice was shaking now. How long, Tyler? How long have you two been? Nothing has happened between Marcus and me, I swear. I told him last night, told him how I felt, but we're not. Yet, Melissa said flatly. You haven't done anything yet, but you're going to. That's what this is about. You're breaking up with me so you can be with him. I'm breaking up with you because it's not fair to you. Because you deserve someone who can love you completely, without reservation. And I can't be that person. No, she agreed, her voice thick with tears. You can't, because you're in love with your roommate. I heard movement, footsteps, the rustle of fabric. She was leaving. Melissa, wait. Don't follow me, don't call me, don't. Her voice broke completely. Just don't, Tyler, let me have this. Let me leave with whatever dignity I have left. The apartment door opened and slammed shut. The silence that followed was deafening. I should have stayed in my room, should have given Tyler space to process. Instead, I found myself opening my door and stepping into the living room. Tyler stood in the middle of the room, his face pale, his hands shaking. When he saw me, something in his expression crumbled. She hates me, he said quietly, and she should. I deserve it. Tyler. I hurt her, Marcus, really hurt her. And for what? Because I was too much of a coward to face myself. He laughed bitterly. Some revelation, some brave coming out. I just destroyed someone who actually cared about me. I crossed to him, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. You didn't mean to hurt her. Does that matter? I still did. I still used her as a shield while I figured out my sexuality. God, that's so fucked up. It is, I agreed quietly. But Tyler, you were struggling. You were trying to be someone you're not. That doesn't excuse what happened to Melissa, but it does explain it. I don't deserve your understanding. I don't deserve. He stopped, his eyes meeting mine. You heard everything, didn't you? The walls are thin. So you know that I told her about you, about us. There is no us, I said carefully. Not yet, maybe not ever. He flinched. Right, of course, I just blew up my relationship and assumed. He stopped. I'm doing it again, making assumptions, expecting you to just. Tyler, stop. I reached out and took his hand, the same gesture from last night. We need to talk, really talk, about what this means, about what we both want, but maybe not right now when you're in the middle of a breakup and everything is chaos. When then? His grip tightened on my hand, desperate. Because Marcus, I meant what I said last night. I love you. And I know the timing is terrible and I've handled everything wrong, but that doesn't change how I feel. I love you too, I said, and watched his face transform with hope. But love isn't enough. We need to figure out if this can actually work, if we're compatible as more than friends, if you're really ready for this or if you're just caught up in the drama of coming out. I'm not. You don't know that yet, and neither do I. I squeezed his hand. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take things slow. We're going to go on dates, real dates, not just hanging out like we always do. We're going to see if this attraction, this chemistry, translates into actual relationship compatibility. You're saying yes. Tyler's voice was filled with wonder. You're willing to try. I'm saying maybe, I corrected. I'm saying I'm willing to explore this carefully with clear communication and realistic expectations. But Tyler, you need to understand something. What? That if this doesn't work, if we try and realize we're better as friends, we might lose what we have now. Our friendship might not survive a failed relationship. Are you prepared for that possibility? He was quiet for a long moment, considering. Then, yes, because Marcus, what we have now isn't sustainable for me anymore. I can't go back to pretending I don't feel this way. I can't go back to being just your friend when I want so much more. So either we try and maybe fail, or we don't try and I lose you anyway slowly, as I try to bury feelings that won't stay buried. That's not fair, I said. You're basically saying it's all or nothing. No, I'm saying I've already lived the nothing. I've lived 3 years of wanting you and thinking I couldn't have you, and I can't do it anymore. So I'm asking, begging for a chance at the all, whatever that looks like, however slow you need it to be. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the vulnerability in his eyes, the fear and hope warring on his face, the way his hand trembled in mine. And I made a choice. Okay, I said. We try, but we do it my way, slow, careful, with ground rules. Anything, Tyler said immediately. Whatever you need. First rule, you need to give Melissa space. Don't try to apologize again or explain. Just let her process and heal on her own timeline. Agreed. Second, we don't tell people right away. Not until we know if this is actually going to work. I don't want to deal with everyone's opinions and reactions while we're still figuring things out. Okay. Third, we maintain some independence. We're roommates, which makes this complicated. But we can't spend every single moment together. We need space to breathe, to have our own lives. Makes sense. And fourth, I paused, making sure he was listening. If either of us feels like this isn't working, we say so immediately. No pretending. No staying together out of guilt or fear. We end it before it destroys our friendship completely. Tyler nodded slowly. I can live with that, all of it. Then we have a deal. So what now? He asked. Are we dating? Are you my boyfriend? The words sent a thrill through me despite my efforts to stay cautious. I think we're in a trial period, testing the waters. We can figure out labels later. Can I kiss you? The question was tentative, hopeful, terrifying. Not yet, I said, even though every cell in my body was screaming yes. Not until things are less complicated with Melissa. Not until we've actually gone on a proper date. Let's do this right, Tyler. Let's not rush. Disappointment flickered across his face, but he nodded. You're right, we should take it slow, do it properly. Besides, I added with a slight smile, anticipation can be good, makes the actual moment mean more. Is that your film student brain talking, building tension for the narrative? Maybe, or maybe I just want our first kiss to be special, not tainted by guilt or complicated by breakup drama. When you put it that way, I can wait. He smiled, and it was the first genuine smile I'd seen from him all morning. But Marcus, just so we're clear, I'm going to spend every day until that kiss showing you that this is real, that I'm serious about you, about us. I'm counting on it, I said. And despite all my caution, all my carefully constructed walls, I felt hope blooming in my chest like spring after a long winter. Maybe this could work. Maybe we could have our impossible happy ending. Or maybe we were about to make the biggest mistake of our lives. Only time would tell. Our first official date was a disaster. Tyler had planned everything. Dinner at this Italian restaurant he'd been researching for weeks, followed by a walk through Central Park. It should have been perfect. Instead, it was painfully awkward. We sat across from each other at a table meant for romance, and suddenly neither of us knew how to act. Every conversation topic felt too casual. We'd already discussed everything important, or too serious. Talking about feelings made us both uncomfortable. The silences stretched, and for the first time in 3 years, I couldn't think of anything to say to him. "This is weird, right?" Tyler said finally, abandoning his barely touched pasta. "It's not just me." "It's so weird," I agreed, relief flooding through me. "Why is this so weird?" "Because we're trying too hard," he suggested. "We're so focused on making this a perfect date TM that we've forgotten how to just be us." "Yeah," I set down my fork. "Tyler, I don't know how to date you. I know how to be your friend, but this," I gestured between us, "I don't know the rules." "Maybe there are no rules," Tyler said. "Maybe we're supposed to figure this out as we go." "That's terrifying." "Welcome to my world. I've been terrified for months." He reached across the table, his hand palm up, inviting. "But Marcus, even with the awkwardness and the fear, I'd rather be here, trying and failing to have a perfect date with you, than having an actually perfect date with anyone else." I took his hand, and just like that, some of the tension eased. "Okay," I said. "New approach. Let's stop trying to be something we're not. Let's go get pizza and watch terrible movies like we always do. Except this time we acknowledge that it's a date." Tyler's face lit up. "That sounds perfect. Can we go to Antonio's? The place with the criminally undercooked crust that we always argue about." "The very same. You can complain about the crust. I'll defend it. We'll share mozzarella sticks and judge the other patrons, just like always. Except I get to hold your hand while we do it," Tyler said, his thumb brushing across my knuckles. "And maybe at the end of the night, if we're both feeling brave, I finally get to kiss you." My heart stuttered, "Maybe." We left the fancy Italian restaurant, after leaving a generous tip for our confused waiter, and walked to Antonio's, the dumpy pizza place 3 blocks from our apartment that made objectively mediocre pizza but had become our place through sheer force of habit. The teenager behind the counter recognized us immediately. "Yo, usual." "Yeah," Tyler said, "and extra mozzarella sticks." We grabbed our regular booth in the back, the one with the ripped vinyl seat and the table that wobbled no matter how many napkins you shoved under the leg. It was familiar and comfortable and exactly what we needed. "This is better," I said once we'd settled in. "Much better." Tyler reached across the table again, and this time I met him halfway. Holding hands with Tyler shouldn't have felt different than the countless other times we'd had casual physical contact, but it did. There was intentionality now, purpose, the acknowledgement that this touch meant something more than friendship. "Can I ask you something?" Tyler said. "Always." "When did you know that you had feelings for me?" I thought back, trying to pinpoint the exact moment friendship had shifted into something more. "Remember sophomore year, when you had that terrible flu and I stayed up with you for 3 days straight, making soup and fetching medicine and listening to you complain? I was a nightmare. I can't believe you put up with me." "That's when I knew," I said quietly. "Because even though you were being impossible and I was exhausted and I definitely caught your flu afterward, I didn't want to be anywhere else. I just wanted to take care of you. And when you finally felt better and smiled at me and said, 'Thank you for not letting me die,' I realized I'd do anything to keep seeing that smile." Tyler's eyes were suspiciously shiny. "That was the same week I started dating Emma." "I know, trust me, I remember." "God, Marcus, I'm so sorry if I'd been braver back then." "Stop," I interrupted gently. "We can't rewrite history. We can only move forward." "You're right, but I still wish," he stopped, shaking his head. "Okay, moving forward, tell me something I don't know about you." After 3 years of living together, that's a tall order. "There must be something, some secret you've never shared." I thought about it while we waited for our food. What hadn't I told him? What piece of myself had I kept hidden? "I'm scared of success," I said finally. Tyler frowned. "What do you mean?" "Everyone assumes I'm scared of failure. that I'll graduate and my films won't get into festivals, that I won't make it as a director. But that's not what keeps me up at night. I paused, trying to find the words. I'm scared of succeeding, of actually achieving my dreams and then discovering they weren't what I wanted after all, of getting everything I thought I wanted and still feeling empty. That's surprisingly deep for pizza restaurant conversation. You asked, I smiled. Your turn, tell me something I don't know. Tyler was quiet for a moment, his expression serious. I'm terrified that one day you'll wake up and realize you're too good for me, that you deserve someone who has their life together, who knows who they are, who didn't waste years living a lie. I'm scared that I'll never be enough for you. Tyler, I know it's irrational. I know you chose to try this with me. But Marcus, you're so far ahead of me. You came out years ago. You're comfortable with yourself. You know what you want. And I'm stumbling through everything, trying to figure out basic things like am I gay or bi, and how do I be in a relationship with a man? And is it normal to want to kiss your roommate every time he makes coffee in the morning? That last one is weirdly specific. Because it's true. You do this thing where you're completely focused on getting the ratio right, and you bite your bottom lip when you're concentrating, and every single time I see it, I want to kiss you. Heat flooded through me. Oh. Yeah, oh, Tyler's smile was rueful. See, I'm a mess, and you're incredible. Why would you settle for me? Because you're worth it, I said simply. Because even though you're figuring things out, you're doing it honestly. Because you're brave enough to risk everything for a chance at being happy. And because, Tyler, you're not the only one who's scared. I'm terrified, too, of getting hurt, of losing my best friend, of this whole thing blowing up in our faces. But you're trying anyway. We both are. Our food arrived then, pizza with the criminally undercooked crust and a mountain of mozzarella sticks. I grabbed one, the cheese stretching ridiculously. And right now, that's enough. We fell into our familiar rhythm, arguing about pizza crust philosophy, people watching, telling stories we'd told 100 times before but somehow never got old. Except now Tyler's foot was hooked around mine under the table. Now his eyes lingered on my mouth when I talked. Now there was this electric current of awareness running between us, turning every casual touch into something charged. By the time we left Antonio's, it was past midnight. We walked home slowly, taking the long route, neither of us ready for the evening to end. This was a good date, Tyler said as we climbed the stairs to our apartment. Better than the fancy restaurant. Much better. We reached our door, and suddenly the air felt heavy with anticipation. This was it, the moment where Tyler had said maybe he'd get to kiss me, where we'd finally cross that line from friendship into something more. I turned to face him, my heart hammering. Tyler. I know, he said softly. End of the date, this is where I'm supposed to kiss you goodnight. Are you going to? That depends. Do you want me to? I stopped, terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. Yes, God, yes. Tyler stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup my face with devastating gentleness. I've imagined this so many times, but now that it's actually happening, I'm scared I'll mess it up. You won't, I promised. How do you know? Because it's you, because it's us, because. He kissed me. It was soft and tentative and perfect. His lips were warm against mine, tasting like pizza and possibility. For a moment we both froze, caught in the surreal reality of finally, actually doing this. Then Tyler's other hand found my waist, pulling me closer, and I stopped thinking altogether. The kiss deepened, became more confident. My hand slid into his hair, finding it as soft as I'd always imagined. He made a small sound against my mouth, surprise or pleasure or both, and something inside me came undone. This was Tyler, my best friend, the person I knew better than anyone, except now I was learning him in an entirely new way, the way he tasted, the way he touched, the way he kissed like he was trying to memorize every detail. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Tyler rested his forehead against mine. "Wow," he whispered. "Yeah," I agreed. "Wow. Can we do that again?" I laughed, giddy and overwhelmed. Maybe we should go inside first, before we scandalize the neighbors. Right inside, good plan. But neither of us moved, caught in the gravity of the moment. Tyler. Yeah. This was perfect. Our terrible date that became perfect. You kissing me in our hallway at 1 a.m., all of it. He smiled, that brilliant, unguarded smile that I'd fallen in love with years ago. First of many. First of many, I confirmed. We finally went inside, and I expected things to be awkward, to not know what to do next. But instead, we ended up on the couch like we always did, watching terrible reality TV. Except now Tyler's arm was around me, and my head was on his shoulder, and every few minutes one of us would forget about the show entirely and kiss the other. It was comfortable and new all at once, familiar territory with uncharted depths. "I love you," Tyler said during a commercial break. "I know I said it before, but I need you to hear it now after everything. I love you, Marcus." "I love you too," I said, and felt the truth of it resonate through every cell in my body. We fell asleep on the couch that night, tangled together, the TV still playing in the background. And for the first time in 3 years, I slept without that constant ache in my chest, the wanting, the wishing, the resigned acceptance that Tyler could never be mine. Because now he was. And it was everything I dreamed of, and nothing like I'd expected. It was real. The next 3 weeks were the happiest of my life. Tyler and I fell into being together with surprising ease. We kept our relationship quiet, just between us, which gave us space to figure things out without external pressure. We went on dates, both fancy and casual, spent hours talking about everything and nothing, learned each other's boundaries and preferences. And we kissed a lot. It turned out Tyler was extremely affectionate once he allowed himself to be. He'd grab my hand while we studied, pull me into his lap while we watched movies, steal kisses while I was trying to edit footage. It was overwhelming and wonderful, and sometimes I had to remind myself to breathe. But underneath the happiness, there was a growing tension. Tyler still hadn't told his family, or his friends, or anyone beyond me and Melissa, who, predictably, had blocked both of us on all social media. "I'm working up to it," he'd say whenever I brought it up. "I just need more time." But time kept passing, and the secret kept growing heavier. It came to a head 3 days before Thanksgiving break. Tyler's parents had invited him home to Connecticut for the holiday, along with Melissa. Except Melissa was no longer in the picture, which meant Tyler had some explaining to do. "Just tell them you broke up," I suggested while he paced our living room, phone in hand, trying to work up the courage to call his mother. "You don't have to explain why. But then they'll want details. They'll want to know what happened. They loved Melissa. They were talking about marriage, grandchildren. They had this whole future mapped out. A future that wasn't yours. I know that, but they don't. And Marcus," he stopped packing, looking at me with such fear it made my chest ache. "My family isn't like yours. They're not progressive. They go to church every Sunday. They voted for it, doesn't matter. The point is they won't understand. They won't accept it. You don't know that until you try." "Yes, I do." His voice was flat. "My dad made comments when the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage, said it was a sign of moral decay. My mom nodded along. My younger brother joined the conversation, talking about how it was against God's plan. I sat there and smiled and agreed because that's what you do in my family. You conform. You don't question. You definitely don't announce that you're gay. So what are you going to do? Stay closeted forever? Pretend I don't exist?" "Of course not. I need time to figure out how to tell them, how to minimize the fallout." "There's no way to minimize it, Tyler. Coming out is messy and painful and scary, but it's also necessary. You can't build a real life while hiding half of yourself. I'm not hiding, not with you. Isn't that enough? No, I said quietly, it's not, because I deserve a partner who's proud to be with me, who doesn't hide me away like a secret. And Tyler, you deserve to live honestly, even when it's hard. You don't understand. Don't I? My parents are immigrants. They had very specific ideas about success and family and what my life should look like. Coming out meant disappointing them in ways I'm still processing. But I did it anyway because the alternative, living a lie, was worse. Your family accepted you. Eventually. But there were months of awkward conversations and uncomfortable silences and my mom crying while asking if she'd done something wrong. It wasn't easy, Tyler, but it was necessary. He sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I don't know if I can do this. Can't or won't. Does it matter? Yes, because can't means you're genuinely not ready and I can respect that. Won't means you're choosing fear over us and that's not something I can accept. Tyler looked up at me, his eyes red. What are you saying? I'm saying I need to know you're committed to this, to us. And part of that means being willing to come out. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. Because I can't be with someone who's ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed of you. Then prove it. Tell your family, tell your friends. Stop living like our relationship is something to hide. That's not fair. Isn't it? I challenged. Tyler, we've been together for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of hiding and secrets and pretending we're just roommates. How long do you expect that to last? What happens when your family wants to visit? When your friends want to come stay? We just, what? Pretend there's nothing between us. I don't know. I haven't figured it all out yet. Then figure it out, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Because I love you, but I won't be your secret forever. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Tyler spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. What if I tell them and they disown me? What if I lose my family over this? Then you'll have gained yourself, I said gently, and you'll have me, and we'll build a new family together. That's easy for you to say. Your family came around. It wasn't easy, and there's no guarantee yours will. But Tyler, you can't live your life based on what might happen. You can't sacrifice your happiness to avoid potential pain. He was crying now, silent tears streaming down his face. I'm so scared, Marcus. I crossed to him, pulling him into my arms. I know, I'm scared too, but we can be scared together. What if it's not enough? What if I'm not strong enough? You are. I've seen your strength. I've watched you face your truth, break up with Melissa, start building an authentic life. You're one of the bravest people I know. I don't feel brave, I feel terrified. Courage isn't the absence of fear, I said quietly. It's feeling the fear and choosing to act anyway. We sat like that for a long time, me holding him while he cried, both of us facing the reality of what lay ahead. Finally, Tyler pulled back, wiping his eyes. Okay. Okay. I'll tell them, not right now, but soon. After Thanksgiving, I'll come home and I'll sit them down and I'll tell them I'm gay, and that I'm with you. Are you sure? No, but I'm going to do it anyway, because you're right, I can't keep living like this, and you deserve better than being someone's secret. We can do this together, I offered. I'll come with you, face them with you. No, Tyler's voice was firm. This is something I need to do alone, my mess to clean up, my truth to tell, but after I tell them if they reject me. You'll come back to me, I finished, and we'll figure it out from there. Promise. Promise. Tyler left for Connecticut 2 days later, and I spent Thanksgiving with my own family, trying not to obsess about how his conversation was going. My phone stayed silent the entire day. At 11 p.m., when I was lying in my childhood bedroom staring at the ceiling, it finally rang. Tyler. I told them. His voice was hollow, emptied out. I told them everything. And My dad said I wasn't his son anymore. My mom cried and said she didn't know what she'd done wrong, what sin she'd committed to deserve this. My brother called me disgusting, a bitter laugh. So yeah, about what I expected. Tyler, I'm so sorry. Don't be, you were right, it needed to happen, I needed to stop living a lie. He paused. I'm coming back tomorrow, can't stand to be here another minute. Of course I'll be here. Marcus, I love you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to be brave enough to claim you publicly. I love you too, and Tyler, I'm proud of you. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but what you did today, that took real courage. Didn't feel courageous, felt like I was destroying everything. You're not destroying, you're rebuilding. There's a difference. I hope you're right. I am, you'll see. We stayed on the phone for hours after that, me listening while he processed, offering comfort where I could, just being present while he grieved the family he'd lost. And when he finally came home the next day, exhausted and heartbroken and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him, I was there, holding him, loving him, reminding him that he wasn't alone. Because that's what love is, not just the happy moments, but the hard ones too, the moments where you choose each other even when everything else is falling apart. Tyler had chosen me, had chosen us, had chosen his own truth even knowing the cost. And I would spend the rest of my life making sure he never regretted it. The apartment was chaos. Boxes everywhere, half-packed and overflowing. Tyler's clothes mixed with mine, our books piled together, the kitchen supplies we'd accumulated becoming one shared collection instead of two separate ones. We were moving together, officially. Not just to a new apartment, but to LA. I'd gotten accepted to UCLA's graduate film program. Tyler had been offered a position at an architecture firm specializing in sustainable design. We were leaving New York, leaving our shared history and starting fresh. Found it, Tyler emerged from his bedroom holding a framed photo. I knew I hadn't packed it yet. It was from our first official date, the redo at Antonio's. We looked happy and awkward and deeply in love, Tyler's hand visible in the frame holding mine across the table. I can't believe that was 18 months ago, I said, taking the photo from him. 18 months since you took a chance on me, Tyler corrected. Best decision I ever made was telling you how I felt at 3 a.m. Best decision I ever made was saying yes. He kissed me, soft and sweet, the kind of kiss that still made my heart skip even after hundreds of them. 18 months, he repeated, and it still feels new sometimes, like I can't quite believe this is my life. Good new or bad new? Good new, amazing new. He glanced around the apartment. Though I won't miss these thin walls. Fair point. I set down the photo carefully, ready for the big move. Ready to start our lives together in LA, absolutely. Ready to pack all of this. He gestured at the chaos. Less enthusiastic. We don't have to do it all today. No, but we do have to do it eventually. The movers come in 3 days. Then I guess we should get back to it. We worked in comfortable silence for a while, the kind that comes from knowing someone so well that words become optional. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom, just loaded the pictures from last week, you two look so happy. Last week had been Tyler's graduation from NYU. My parents had flown in for it, along with my sister. They'd taken us out to dinner afterward, a real family celebration. Tyler had smiled the entire evening, soaking in the warmth and acceptance he'd been denied by his own family. He still wasn't speaking to his parents, or his brother. They'd made their choice when he came out, and Tyler had made his, to build a chosen family instead of clinging to a biological one that didn't accept him. Everything okay? Tyler asked, noticing my expression. Yeah, just my mom being my mom. I showed him the text. He smiled, that soft smile reserved for moments involving my family. Your parents are amazing. They love you. The feeling is mutual. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Catherine, Tyler's ex-wife in another universe, his friend in this one. After the initial pain of their breakup, Catherine had reached out 6 months later. She'd wanted closure, understanding, and eventually, friendship. Now she was one of our biggest supporters, often joking that she'd known Tyler was gay before he did. Safe travels to LA. Can't wait to visit once you're settled. Catherine says hi, I reported. Tell her we'll have the guest room ready by July. I typed a response, then set down my phone and returned to packing. Marcus, Tyler's voice was hesitant. Yeah. Do you ever regret it, giving me a chance, all the drama that came with it? I looked at him, really looked at him. At the man who'd been brave enough to face his truth, to risk everything for love, to choose himself even when it meant losing his family. Not for a second, I said honestly. Every single moment, good and bad, led us here, and I wouldn't change any of it. Even the first terrible date. Especially the first terrible date. It taught us we're better when we're ourselves, when we stop trying to be perfect and just are. I love you, Tyler said, crossing to pull me into his arms. I love you so much sometimes I don't have words for it. Lucky for you, I'm a film student. Words are kind of my thing. I kissed him. I love you too, forever. Forever, he agreed, starting with 18 months down, infinity to go. That's terrible math. I'm an architecture major. Math is my strong suit. Pretty sure infinity minus 18 months is still infinity. Exactly my point, he grinned. We have infinity together, and I plan to spend every moment of it proving I'm worth the risk you took. Tyler, you don't have to prove anything. You already are worth it. You always were. Says the guy who took a chance on his disaster of a straight best friend. Not straight, never were, just figuring it out. Fair correction. He kissed me again, deeper this time. But Marcus, thank you for being patient while I figured it out, for giving me space to grow, for loving me even when I was a mess. That's what love is, I said simply, seeing someone at their worst and choosing them anyway. Then I'm choosing you, every day, for infinity. Infinity it is. We finished packing that night, the two of us working side by side, our lives literally and figuratively coming together. And as I sealed the last box, labeled OUR stuff, because we'd long since stopped distinguishing his from mine, I thought about that night 18 months ago. The night Tyler grabbed my hand at 3 a.m. and whispered words that destroyed my carefully constructed walls. The night everything changed. The night we stopped being just friends and started being something more. It had been terrifying, messy, painful in ways I couldn't have predicted. But it had also been worth it. Every tear, every fight, every moment of uncertainty, worth it for the life we were building together. Because Tyler had been right that night. Sometimes you have to destroy everything to create something real. Sometimes you have to let the old version of yourself burn to make room for who you're meant to be. And sometimes the person you're meant to be is standing right in front of you, holding your hand, ready to face infinity together.